All right. We've still got a lot of people who are RSVPing right now. So we should have a good flood of people coming in and they'll be let in. But we are going to go ahead and get started. And here's one of my kiddos. Hello, my name is Zsudayka Nzinga Terrell, and I am super excited for you guys today to be here for the virtual art opening for distance learning. Forgive me, this is a child-friendly event. Mommy. All right. So, Mommy? Welcome. James, can you come and get her, please? We are, oops, stop. All right, so let's try that again. Welcome to the opening reception for Distance Learning. This is a show that I curated with a grant from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. We have been working on this in conjunction with Friendship Public Charter School for a long time. And so I'm really excited to be able to show you guys the gallery and show you guys the layout and everything that we worked hard to put together. This exhibit features 21 DC area art teachers. A majority of them come from the Friendship Public Charter Schools. And then we invited some other artists and art teachers that we know, including a few who are independent contractors. We have 2 spoken word artists, both who do independent programming through their own companies in the district. And so I hope that you stay tuned and also RSVP for the closing, because we're going to have performances from them and we'll get to see their words on the wall and some of the poetry and reflections that they've had. This show is extremely important to me because it's an opportunity for us to celebrate the unsung heroes. Oftentimes, when we're talking about who the frontline workers are, we fail to mention the teachers, and especially the art teachers who were met with a lot of really unique challenges. I think that oftentimes art is where a lot of students go, that's the class that they go for an outlet. And so for our art teachers, to many without having any supplies, with having to deal with the mental and emotional stress of what it was like for schools to kind of close pretty suddenly. It's been amazing to watch how teachers have tried to pivot and how teachers have tried to shift and continue to reach their kids, as well as looking at how the art industry has changed. I mean, like, we're having a virtual reception and I get to see all of your wonderful faces on squares on the computer. But it's nice because we still are able to find ways to be connected. We're still able to find ways to celebrate. We're still able to find ways to highlight the important work that these DMV area educators are doing. So I would like to thank Friendship Public Charter School for their support, from not just the teachers, but from the staff as well. And I would definitely like to thank the DC Commission of the Arts and Humanities for even giving this opportunity for curators in the district to be able to put together a show on this magnitude, as well as for curators to be able to take an opportunity to let art be seen that may not have gotten seen because all the galleries are closed. And we have some artists who are in the show who are seasoned artists and who've been showing their work for a very long time. And we also have some artists that are very, very new. And we have 1 or 2 that this is their first show. We have a couple who've shown, but maybe on smaller platforms. And so this chance for them to really get their voices heard is incredible, and we couldn't have done it without this wonderful grant and this wonderful opportunity. So thank you to you guys and kudos to you guys. We have a wonderful presentation set up for you this evening. We are going to get a chance to tour the gallery together. So I'm going to walk you through. You'll have to forgive me because I'm old. I'm navigating it, but I want to walk you guys through it a couple of ways and kind of talk to you a little bit about how we laid it out and give you a chance to really see each piece of art. We've got a lot of the teachers in the house, so toward the end, we'll definitely have time for if you guys have questions, if you guys want to direct any questions to the teachers, and we'll give you a chance to raise your hand and we'll unmute you. and give you a chance to talk to the teachers and give some feedback or give some thoughts. We have a wonderful portion where we're going to give some awards to a couple of people and organizations that serve the arts community in DC, because we want to take an opportunity to make sure that we're giving back to everybody who is trying to keep this scene running and this scene strong, and the opportunities for showcasing work like the work in this show rich. And then we have a couple of comments from some special invited guests. So with no further ado, I would like to bring up the first person who's going to speak from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. We have the Public Art Manager, Lauren Douglas Glover. And so if you could raise your hand, and then I'll unmute you. Oh, I see you. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Can everybody hear me? Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to my heroes, the teaching artists. I have to let you all know you had a profound impact on my life and on my education, and you will always be my heroes. So thank you so much for all that you do every single day, for all the youth that you come across. You hold it all together for us. So thank you so much. As Zudayka indicated, I'm the public art manager. I run the public art program here at the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. And we are so proud to support this exhibition through our Curatorial Grant program. This grant supports our local curators by providing them with funding and access to gallery space to mount exciting exhibitions. Normally, we would be all huddled down in our gallery at 200 I Street Southeast, but COVID had different plans for us. So as I always say, artists don't say no, we say how. And so thanks to the initiative and the energy of our curator, Sarah Gordon, we figured out how to go virtual. And so we went virtual last spring with the rest of the world, and we've had just some wonderful programs in our gallery. And we were able to find someone who could do 3D modeling of our gallery. So as you walk through the gallery, if you've ever been to our space before, you will say, oh, I know where that is. And if you haven't, you're going to say, I can't wait till the building opens so I can come and see it in person. So we're very excited about this opportunity to continue to support artists and curators when most things are shut down. And we know just how important and how vital artists are to everything that we do in our life. We know the best way to experience art is up close and personal, but we think that this exhibition will allow you the opportunity to participate. And I will say one of the things that it has done is it's broadened our audience of people being able to participate in programs like this and the rest of the wonderful programming that's planned for the duration of this exhibition. So I hope this is not your first visit. There are lots of exciting things coming up. So with that, I just want to say thank you for joining us this evening. And on behalf of the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, I'd like to say congratulations to our curator, Zsudayka Nzinga Terrell, and thank you, and look forward to experiencing your exhibition and your program tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I love some of the things that she just shared with us about the changes in having to navigate a virtual gallery. That's something that is very cutting edge, and it's amazing for an organization to be able to pivot in a time that of unexpected time, and figure out ways to continue to serve the community. And so, a lot of people don't know. And, if you're viewing this on your cell phone, I would encourage you to go ahead. You have to download the Exhibit app to see the gallery on your cell phone. There's an actual full gallery. So if for those who haven't taken the tour, the commission had a gallery made that looks like the actual physical gallery. And so it's really an amazing way and a creative way to continue to interact with people and give them the experience of actually being there and what the work would have looked like if we were able to have a brick and mortar show and we were able to really see, how it was going to be installed and how it was going to be on the walls. And it's always a fun challenge, for especially for me as the curator, because this is the third virtual show that I've done, and laying them out, it's a different program for each organization that I've worked with. And so there's challenges in learning the programs and figuring out how to best get people's art on the wall so that it looks good and it still has the same flow as if you were in the actual building. I want to take a moment and give a shout out to the teachers in the show, because it was a lot of additional work to make sure that the gallery looked the way that it needed to look. And so, I was having them send me their images over and over. We ran some images through a graphic designer. We had a COVID-friendly photo shoot, which was probably one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had in my career. And the teachers, they went above and beyond to come out, get their work photographed, get their headshots done. That was something that I really wanted to offer. Like, at least you can come out with some professional shots, and as you further your art career. And everybody just did everything that they could do to make sure that the work looks beautiful. So, speaking of the teachers, I would like to introduce the Chief Executive Officer of the Friendship Public Charter Schools. She is going to speak a little bit about the schools, and then she's going to introduce our artist for us.
Good evening. Good evening to each and every one of you. I can't tell you how proud I am to be a part of this celebration and exploration of the arts. I have the honor and privilege of introducing each of the 21 artists. But before I do so, I have to take a moment to say what it is like to be in a school system and know that there is so much talent among our faculty. And that's true with art teachers across the District of Columbia. But when this idea came up that this could be a possibility, one of the first people that I thought of was James Terrell, whose art speaks to me because I think about Afro-Cobra and the art of revolution when I see his works. And I might be a bit older than some people that are on here, but if you know the work of Wadsworth Jarrell and others, you will understand just the deep impact that he has when you see it. And then to imagine that he is married to Mrs. Terrell, who has my favorite contemporary piece called Fierce. I'm just going to call it out right now. That when I see it, the sense that I get of the woman that is pictured is just incredible, and it's impactful. And so when I think about this exhibition, and not only what it means to be able to honor the artists that give so much of their talents to our children, but what it means for our children to see the professionalism and the expertise and the aptitude, I know we are doing the right work. And so I want to thank everyone that made this possible. And yes, we are in a pandemic, but art never stops. Art is the way that we can express what we are feeling and what we are seeing, where we can name the world and also help to shape it. And I hope that when you see the works today, you would understand just how important it is that schools and our community value art in the way that we value everything else. And so without further ado, I want to tell you a little about each of the 21 artists who contributed to distance learning. The artists are from the Washington, D.C. metro area and have brought their talents in arts and in education to enrich the children of Friendship Public Charter School. One, and we are so proud, one, Flanora Merritt, Flo Merritt, is a Friendship Collegiate graduate. I will start with Drew Anderson. Drew is a science teacher turned teaching artist, poet turned parodist, and marathon runner turned motivational speaker. He is founder and co-host of Spit That, the longest running open mic event in DC. He is co-creator of Gumbo to Mumbo, nominee in 2020 for the Helen Hayes Award for Outstanding Production, and currently developing Spoof School and Crunk Academy, two dynamic arts education integration programs which teach students to make learning fun by making fun of their learning. And please wave when I call your name. Our second artist, Bomani Arma. Bomani is known for his internet viral and BET music video hit, Read a Book. He uses his experience as a poet, producer, and hip hop MC to teach a writing curriculum called Bars. He is a Kennedy Center Changing Education Through the Arts, CETA, program facilitator, and is founder of the Frederick Douglass Writing Club based on the life of Frederick Douglass. Adia Harris, Friendship's very own Adia Harris. Adia is a Reggio-inspired Atelierista who works with some of our youngest scholars aged 3 to 6 years. She explores a variety of modalities to make sense of the world around her. She describes herself as an avid reader, constant doodler, photographer, and budding ceramicist. And I would say she is also the developer of talent, and she can see the magic shine in our youngest children. Danielle Hawkins, also a friendship educator. Danielle grew up in Colorado and Washington, D.C., and has been teaching since 2004. This is the first show of her artwork. She has a mission to communicate the value of being a creative and hardworking individual, committed to lifelong learning, and the intent to be the best at one's craft. Randall Holloway. Randall began taking formal art classes at age 6 and moved on to training in realism after attending middle school in Germany. He attended the Duke Ellington School for the Arts and got a degree from Howard University. He teaches elementary performance art for ages 3 to 12 using open-ended questions and student-led discussions. His work is displayed at the Smithsonian, Children's Medical Hospital, and St. Elizabeth's Hospital. Janai Johnson. Janai Johnson is a DC-based artist specializing in murals and portraits that reflect and speak to the community. Her father is an artist, and they consider art a family trade, a trade that she has passed on to several of her 5 children. Flanora Merritt, Friendship's own. Flanora is an advisor to the Friendship News Network, a high school journalism program at Friendship Collegiate Academy, where she graduated in 2008 as a salutatorian. She returned to run the Friendship News Network at Collegiate after college. As a student, she started FNN as a magazine and slowly progressed to digital media. Joy Nutt, another friendship educator. Joy was born in DC to Trinidadian parents and raised in Maryland and Colorado. She majored in electronic studio art at Howard University and graduated in 2008. She has started JN Studio Art, specializing in vibrant portrait commissions and original art. And I am reminded by Ms. Terrell that you can see their headshots and read their full bios on site at dcteacherartshow.com. And Asma Page, another friendship educator. Fascinated with art as a child in New Jersey, Asma majored in painting and drawing at North Carolina Central University and became an art teacher in 2008. She joined Friendship in 2012 as a dedicated aide, transitioned to a teacher's assistant, becoming the art teacher at Southeast Academy to pre-K to 8 students. She created an art club that meets twice a week and is responsible for the beautification of the school. Asma makes oil paintings and drawings of her family members, including an infant son and still life painting of assorted glass bottles. Zeleka Perkins. Zeleka of Lotus of Wadi Arts is a DC-based art teacher and visual artist who has taught in DC public schools for 10 years. She was raised in a Pan-African household and community where Black arts were celebrated. She received her BFA from Howard's Fine Arts program, where she studied under professors who founded Afrocobra, an arts movement that began in the late 60s to celebrate a pro-Black aesthetic. Her master's in art education is from Georgia State University. Rashada Pulin-Dure. Rashada has painted mostly in acrylics for 20 plus years. She graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University School of the Arts in 2005. Her first solo exhibit in 2004, called 3/5 Remained Silent, explored images of Black women, stereotypes, commerce, and slavery. Her 2003 performance sculpture piece, The Revolution Don't Pay No Rent, was famously shocking and controversial. After Haiti's devastating earthquake in 2010, Rashada began painting live for fundraisers and other events around the Metro DC area. Tiffany Raquel. Tiffany was born in Tokyo and grew up in the South Jersey area. She has a BA in philosophy, religion, and sociology from Rowan University and an MFA in studio art from American University. Tiffany believes art functions as documentation and inspiration to visually map out larger spiritual concepts. Her work places figurative images of people of color on a ground of abstraction or distortion to spotlight minority groups previously absent from classical figurative art. Friendship's own Rhonda Silver. Rhonda is a multimedia artist and fourth generation Washingtonian who studied at UDC and now teaches art at Friendship. She has taught for 30 years. She studied visual art at Duke Ellington School of the Arts and returned to Ellington to teach future leaders and artists in museum studies. She has exhibited solo in galleries, art spaces, the Mary McLeod Bethune Museum, and the Smithsonian. Her raw and personal work explores love and protection, abandonment, disappointment, joy, pain, and ultimately the human condition. Patricia Smith, a friendship educator. Patricia grew up in DC. She graduated from the then brand new Duke Ellington School of the Arts and then continued her art education at Atlanta College of Art and then Pratt Institute, where she received her BFA. Making art since she could write her name with a pencil, she is an illustrator and a graphic designer who does production work in Photoshop for art museums, preparing master paintings for print reproduction. Her media includes sculpture, printmaking, graphite, ink, acrylic paint, pastels, and more. Elizabeth Stewart. Elizabeth was born in Los Angeles, California. She has a BFA in painting from Howard University and a doctorate in arts education. Her shows include Harlem Fine Arts and Jack Daniels Art Beats and Lyrics. She contributed to the Women's History Month mural on Florida Avenue. Carol Singer, a friendship educator. Carol is originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and has lived in New Jersey, Arizona, Louisiana, California, and England. She has taught middle and high school fine arts for the past 12 years in 3 different states. Most recently, her work was exhibited with the Arts Council of Anne Arundel. And James Terrell, a friendship educator. James grew up in DC's Ward 7 with his father, the Reverend Dr. James E. Terrell, the pastor of historic Second Baptist Church, and his mother, Mary A. Terrell, who served as Superior Court Associate Judge. He graduated from Gonzaga and has a BFA from Howard, an MFA from Parsons School of Design, and a Master of Divinity degree from the Union Theological Seminary. Terrell has exhibited his work all over the country with multiple solo shows. And as you make your way through DC, you can see his art featured everywhere. Friendship's own Randy Walters. Randy is the CEO of W Fine Art, AKA Art by Randy Walters, as well as Soulful Sip and Paint by Randy. He is the owner and director of Artrageous, a performing arts summer camp. He specializes in original fine art paintings, portraits, custom framing, and mural design. His clientele includes well-known athletes and entertainers. Judy Adrua Williams. Judy, a friendship artist, was born in Washington, D.C., and is a mixed media sculptor and graduate of the Corcoran School of Art and Design. Her work explores connections that, in her words, make us alike rather than make us different. Her life motto is art is life and life is art. She has exhibited in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the DC metro area. Jamise Winston, a friendship educator. Jamise was born in Washington, D.C., and has a BA from the Norfolk State University School of Fine Arts. She began her career as an art educator in 2000 and currently teaches at Friendship, where in 2010, she was the Woodridge campus's Friendship Teacher of the Year. Mother of a 6-year-old daughter, Jamise creates exhibits throughout D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And Mandela Zulu. Mandela is a mixed media artist specializing in African art. He has been involved in visual and performing arts since he was 8 years old and pursues his craft to heal the heart and body, and especially the soul. He enjoys printmaking, drawing, painting, and photography and ceramics. She credits the experiences during the travels to Ghana and East Africa for influencing how he expresses and interprets African art. These are our 21 artists. Please join me and give them each a quick round of applause. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for sharing your art and your talent with us.
Wow, the teachers, hearing the backgrounds of the teachers just really drives home how hardworking they are and how wonderful they are. And I will tell you guys too that, you know, as each teacher's name was called, seeing the people in the comments thanking them and expressing how important that they were really just drives home why this exhibition is an important exhibition and a historical exhibition and opportunity for these teachers as well. So, with no further ado, I am going to take you guys to the gallery so that we can see the wonderful art that our teachers created. And we're going to get to walk through the gallery. We're going to get to navigate the gallery. And so we're going to go a couple of ways. First, I'm going to take you in and I'll kind of walk you through it. It's going to be a little bit awkward because it's interesting to navigate. And I have practiced, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm the best. My daughter jumps on it and is like, doo, 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 doo. And I'm just too old and I'm typing. So we're gonna go through it that way. And it's important to go that I want to walk you through it that way first, because I want to share some things with you guys about why I placed certain pieces where I placed them. And I want an opportunity to maybe share some things about the artist or the images as we go through. Then we'll go back to the beginning and we'll just go through each piece one by one so that you can see them. The gallery moves in kind of a weird order. And so I feel like it's really important for us to go through it together first. So give me just a second to set it up and share my screen, and then we'll get started. All right, here we are. So first, again, I want to reiterate that this is a program that was made possible by the DC Commission of the Arts and Humanities. And just, I'm overjoyed and thankful that they put this together so that these teachers and artists in the district could continue to have these opportunities. So the show is called Distance Learning. And I titled that because I thought that that's what all of us as teachers and as educators were going through. We're all trying to figure out how to teach from a distance, how to educate virtually, and it's teaching us as well. And then I think that we're all learning quite a bit about the world as we are navigating this situation. So let me see. I'm going to read it to you. 21 Washington, D.C. area art teachers examine isolation and mental health during the 2020 pandemic and social unrest. Through portraiture, sculpture, print, digital, abstract art, and spoken word, Artists convey their observations of culture, how they managed the time in quarantine after schools closed in-person learning, their continued connection to the youth and communities they teach, and the importance of having this opportunity to focus on creating. A virtual platform is being used due to COVID-19 restrictions. This exhibit was made possible by an art exhibition grant from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. All right, let's go. For those of you who, if you want to see this on your own computer, it will be up through March 19th. Well, it'll be up for the rest of the year, but you can see it on the website dcteacherartshow.com. And once again, if you're trying to view through a mobile device, you have to download the exhibit app and then it will open right up. It's a free app. It's a fun app to have and a fun app to use. You can view other shows that they have. All right, so here we go. So our first image is actually a poem, and it's a poem by one of our teaching artists. It's a section of a poem by one of our teaching artists. It's called COVID, the 5 Stages of Grief. And this piece, this segment, I thought was really important and really roots the experience that we're about to have as we walk through the gallery. All of the things that it says are emotions that we went through. Later. Yes, I have a schedule. Okay, so it's capitalism only values infinite dollars. Cure our violently intolerant demeanor. Correct our viciously inequitable district. Courageously our voices inspire defiance. Changing ourselves, victory is destined. And come out, virus is dead. And I think that all of us at some point have gone through this series of emotions and these layers and levels of emotions. And so as we're moving through, those are the sentiments that I really want you to hold on to. Some of the work is hard and some of the work is painful and some of the work is really beautiful and really peaceful. And so our first wall features work from 3 of the visual artists. And I love that you can really see how each piece really goes together and really speaks. I wanted to kind of start us off with a feeling of remembering what it was like when we could go outside and when we could be around each other and kind of the innocence of those moments. And so we had a couple pieces that featured children. And I thought that we should start off because we all were kind of in a childlike space. And then we progress to what America kind of turned into with this piece here by Ozma Page. And it is, and so you can see it's Queen Liberty. And I think that this piece is really reflective of what America kind of turned into very quickly. I know it definitely seemed like one day we were teaching, everything was normal, everybody was living their lives. There was kind of these whispers about a virus, we having art shows, and then all of a sudden it was like, you have to wear a mask and everything closes down. And I think this piece speaks really eloquently to that. And so as we head over to the next floor, the next wall on the first floor, I added these pieces onto this wall because I wanted to get into some of the early reflections of quarantine and what it is to kind of spend time alone and spend time reflecting. And so these pieces by Joy Nutt, and you know, one thing that is awesome about Joy Nutt is as I began to follow her and learn more about her art, I watched her launch a business and I watched her take these fantastic designs that are almost textile in style and start to apply them to earrings and other items. And so I ordered a pair of earrings from her. You guys should definitely support her and get something from her. But I liked these two pieces because they're solitary. And I think that a lot of times, you know, we were dealing with a lot of solitude. These two pieces by Janai Johnson, I thought were really beautiful as well, because, you know, we're spending time with our elders, and elders are one of the hardest hit communities. And so I thought that this picture was beautiful about having an opportunity and having the time to spend. And then this is a self-portrait of her. She is very beautiful. And I thought it was a great chance to really get into thinking about reflection. These next three pieces are by Zeleka Perkins. And one of the things that I saw on Facebook or on Instagram was I saw a story about how people were dealing with their quarantine by buying plants. And, you know, I started to see a lot more posts of people dealing with plants as well. And so I love these three pieces because, you know, they all really seem like they're focused on trying to figure out how to get through a tough time and using the plants as an opportunity to heal and to have something to focus on and have something that you love going on. So that's how I think we all kind of started the pandemic, is, you know, trying to figure out how to embrace the solitude. And then we got towards the summer. And so these two pieces on this wall are by Jamise Winston. And I think that they, especially the one on the right, really communicates to how there was kind of a change in the energy and in the air as we got to summer. And so I included this quote from one of the artists in the show, Rashada Pulanjira. And she said, "I called out Black. I refused to attend any meetings. I refused to smile while my heart was breaking over the death of George Floyd. I didn't have the capacity to go numb anymore." And I thought that this quote was really important because as educators, and especially as art educators, you know, often we're the refuge for the youth. And so this was a time where we were feeling a lot of things too. And it was a very emotional time and a very intense time for all of us. And so this hallway here is really near and dear because I was really thinking a lot about Black Lives Matter Boulevard and how those sprung up in cities all across the country. And so all of the pieces on this wall are reflective of the marches, the Black Lives Matter movements, and things that we had. So we have some photographs, and, you know, there's in here, I'm going to turn you guys around so you can see. And some of these are a little bit smaller in this view, but don't worry, we are going to go through and spend some time looking at each one. Okay, so I love these. We have a couple of photographs, and we'll come back and definitely look at all the photographs. I just wanted to walk you guys through real quick. But the photographs are from the protests, and then you can see some of the artwork that was done, thinking about the protest, thinking about Black Lives Matter, thinking about, you know, I think there's been a lot of really important social changes that have taken place. See, so I crash into walls. Forgive me, you guys. So we will come back and we will look at all of the pieces individually. So just bear with me. So then we get up to our second floor. And we have our first sculpture piece by Judy Williams. And I like this. And I would love for particularly Judy and Rhonda, when we get to the end, to talk a little bit about the meanings of their sculptures, because there's so many layers here that I would not do it justice really trying to break down everything that's going on. And so hopefully they'll be in the room and we can hear directly from them, because both of their sculpture pieces were really dynamic. These three pictures here are by Carol Solinger. And I absolutely love just her use of color and the vibrance. And again, getting into the exploration of how people coped with dealing with the social unrest. We'll move further in, and then we'll get to see the work by Randall Holloway and Rhonda Silver's sculpture, Waiting. And this sculpture is really awesome. We, you know, it's 3 pieces, and it's an actual sculpture, even though it's in photograph for the virtual gallery. It's an actual sculpture. So watching her come to Second Baptist Church and set it up for the photo shoot was just absolutely amazing. And, you know, the photo really doesn't do it justice because it's a 360 piece. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I hope that she's here at the end to talk a little bit about it. These pieces are by James Terrell, and these pieces examine the mental health that and the toll that the pandemic and the social unrest of the summer took on us. And there's a quote from one of our spoken word artists, Bomani Arma, that says, "The heightened racism and devastation to small businesses was something I was planning to teach my sons to be prepared for in their lifetime, not before they turn 16. The inevitable cycle of American life is on max speed right now." And I actually took that from one of his Facebook posts and one of his Facebook discussions, because I just thought that it was so real to those of us that have children, you know, what we're experiencing with having to kind of talk to our kids about what's going on and seeing that the world has changed very greatly. So we're going to go up here. And these pieces are by Rashada Pulanjira. And I love these pieces because I think that they brought a sense of beauty to a kind of hard time and a kind of problematic time for many people. And so there's another quote from Bomani Arma: "I've spent my days creating things to reminisce and harboring memories to feed me when my body becomes a doomsday bunker." And so that's from one of his poems that I hope that he's going to perform in the closing reception on March 16th. Put that on your calendars, guys. It's going to be a really fun time and a really dynamic event. So here is a wall that I felt was really important. This piece by Randy Walters in the beginning is just such a harsh and beautiful painting. And so I wanted to encompass and incorporate an opportunity for people to kind of feel their emotions about all of the social unrest. And so we've got Janai Johnson, Mandela Zulu, and Elizabeth Stewart on this wall. And then we'll come down. And we have this wonderful rug by Carol Solinger, next to a piece by Patricia Smith, honoring Donald Hintz, who we'll get to hear from in just a few. And then we'll come over here. We have got Elizabeth Stewart and Rhonda Silver. And this piece by Rhonda Silver is actually 33 small canvases mounted together. So it's such a beautiful piece. And then lastly, we have Tiffany Chamberlain, who I love this piece, just relaxing. And I think it really is reflective of what I think a lot of us are still continuing to go through. So I want to take you guys all the way back to the beginning so that we can go through each piece very quickly, one by one. And again, so this tour is on the website, dcteacherartshow.com. And we're just going to go through one by one so you guys get a chance to see them all big. And I was really blown away by the beauty and the different styles that each artist represented. I think a lot of times we don't always think about considering our art educators as actual artists. And so that's one thing I was excited about with this show, was the chance to see that our art teachers are actual practicing artists, whether they've shown before or not. If you guys have any questions about any of the work, we will have some time at the end for Q&A. A bunch of the artists are in the house tonight. So, you should definitely ask a question. You can type questions into the chat too. I can't see the chat, so I don't know if you guys are doing that already, but you can definitely type questions, type comments into the chat. Some of these pieces the artists are selling. And so, you can inquire, you can email through the website and I'll connect you with the artists. Because it's important that we collect this work. This is literal history. This is something that, probably none of us ever expected to see in our lifetimes. And so getting to have an opportunity for artists to interpret it for us is incredible. All right, now we're going back to our Black Lives Matter wall so you guys can get to see these ones up close. Oh, I skipped one, I'm sorry. I love that we were able to get digital art and photography and print work too. Like it's such an array of different approaches and different styles. This one I really appreciated because this is some of our actual youth. And so the teachers are still staying connected to the actual youth, even in their distance. I love we have a portrait of Donald Hansen. We're going to hear a few words from him coming up next as well. And last but not least, so I would love to take a minute and just give an air clap to the teachers one more time for their amazing, amazing artwork and just all of the things that they did to help pull this show together and pull this message together. I would love for you guys to continue to go to the website and view it on your own time and, send us emails. If you send an email complimenting a teacher or complimenting a piece, I will definitely forward it to them. And I'm sure that it could really lift their days sometimes. It's just absolutely amazing work. And thank you, teachers. Thank you guys for trusting me to do this and for trusting me with your work and for trusting me to get everything pulled together. I just, it's an absolute honor that you allowed me to represent, especially this subject matter of your work. So, I will be forever grateful for all of you. Now, it is time for us to hear from Mr. Donald Hintz. He is the chairman. I believe he's the chairman, and forgive me, Mr. Hintz, if that's incorrect. He is the chairman of Friendship Public Schools, Public Charter Schools. And let me see if I can find him. If you can raise your hand. Oh, hold on. I can type you in. There we go. And forgive me, I'm learning this too. All right. We have got some words. So I would like you guys to welcome up Chairman Donald Hens.
Right. Wow. Good evening, everyone. I really hope you are as impressed by the talent that we have in the room tonight. The art is simply beautiful. I think more than anything, the subject matter is one that inspires creativity. We are in a moment of crisis, and it is often in the times of crisis that the greatest things that come from our society are often invented. And so we look at that when you say that within a matter of 7, 8, or 9 months, we were able to create a vaccine, from several companies to attempt to address the COVID crisis, the pandemic that we have. And so we see the same thing with the level of beauty of the art that you have created and brought to us today. I'm very, very proud that Friendship Public Charter School teachers were able to participate with other outstanding teachers in the District of Columbia to present this exhibition, particularly as it addresses things that are so pertinent to us now. When you say that we are addressing the COVID crisis, we're addressing isolation, we're addressing mental health, social unrest, all at the same time, clearly we are in a very critical point in our society. And on top of all of that, we have Donald Trump. What else could be thrown upon us is what you probably would be thinking. I think more than anything, I also want you to look at this whole issue of the impact, the mental health impact of what's taking place with COVID. If in fact you are no longer working on the job, your only meeting is a Zoom meeting, and the rest of the time you're home alone, then there could actually be a crisis. You have got to look at the impact of this on our society. Now, let me start to before I actually make my remarks, gotcha. I'd like to thank Mrs. Terrell and the DC Commission for all of the work that was put into this. This is fantastic work. And it took someone who loved art to actually put it together. And I'm sure that you are one of those persons. And the commission, I know and respect my good friend Lewis Hicks worked there for so many years. So I know a lot about the commission and its work, very much so. We have had a fairly deep commitment to art at Friendship. I'm not just the chairman, I'm the founder. So I actually know when it was just a piece of paper. And in saying that, the important thing is that we encourage art in all of its forms of expression among our students and our teachers. We shouldn't have a shortage of supplies at Friendship. I heard that, and it kind of shook me because I have always made it a point of making sure that our arts teachers, I would go and visit them, stop by their classes to make sure that they had the tools that they needed to work with, and that made me proud. I often would see their work in our halls, and they know how I love the creativity. It really stems from early years, but now I consider myself a cheap collector. I'll say that of African, Afro-American, and Chinese works. So I kind of feel a little bit of affinity for it. I love beauty, and I'm appreciative once again of everything that you've done. I thank you for all of what you've done for our city, our schools, and just for art. That is in itself a way to help us through COVID, past COVID, and to grow as individuals. The exhibition should really be maintained for a while. I'll have a conversation with how long it's going to be around. It needs to be held on to until we get our shots. I had my second COVID shot today, and I'm hoping that as more people get them, that we'll be able to start to see one another. I kind of miss not seeing my children. I kind of miss not seeing my staff and not walking buildings. But thank you again, Ms. Terrell, for your work. Thank you to the Dees Commission, and particularly thank you to all of the artists who put work out for this exhibition. Thank you.
And thank you for your wonderful, wonderful words. And just special thank you to Friendship for all of the support. And a big shout out to Carol Seifert, who's a grant writer with Friendship, who helped make sure, she helped proofread, she helped hound teachers, she helped, she really helped facilitate this relationship and just help make sure that this was able to come together. And so, many thanks to her. She's going to be singing a song that she wrote at the closing reception on March 16th. So make sure that you RSVP for that, because we're going to have a very entertaining evening. So anytime that I have an event, let me see, it says I'm unstable. So let me give it a second and see. Okay, there we go. Anytime that I have an event, and especially an event that is geared towards the community, I think that it's always good for us to shout out other community organizations and other people who are doing similar work and who are doing work that is just as important as our art educators, as well as providing opportunities for our art educators. And so I would like to present 3 awards this evening to 3 individuals who do work with organizations that I think greatly impacts specifically the people that we have in this show, as well as other arts organizations in the district. Because of the COVID and this terrible weather, I intended to deliver everybody's awards to them beforehand so that they could have them on hand. But as you guys know, it has snowed every day, and I do not drive in DC when it snows. Y'all drive crazy when there's no snow, but when there's snow, it's icy. I can't do it. And so I have everybody's award, and I'll be getting them to you guys next week, but I wanted to show them to you so that you can see. We had these made. It's art reaching for the, it's a reaching for the sky art. And the 3 people who we are about to give honor to are 3 people who I think have done things, especially in the last year, that go above and beyond and continuing and furthering arts opportunities despite the pandemic and alongside the social unrest. And so I'm going to give each person just a few minutes to speak, but please brevity. Maybe just give us like a quick outline of what it is that you and your organization does. And so first up, I would like to take a moment and give some honor to Greg Scott. Let's see, his name has dropped out. All right, I don't see him, so his signal may have dropped out briefly. So we'll give it just a second, and I'll move to our next person that we want to take a moment and honor, and that is Deb Walmer with the Washington, with the Women's Arts Caucus of DC. And I wanted to give this award to the organization because they started a scholarship based on, oh, okay. Well, so we'll get him next. I see his screen name has changed. Okay, so the WCA started a scholarship to help people who identify as people of color to have educational opportunities in the arts. And I think that it's very important that we're encouraging arts and arts education opportunities specifically for women of color, because as you know, we are less than 2% of museum collections. So with no further ado, please welcome an air clap for Deb Walmer.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Zsudayka. And congratulations to you and all of the artists on an outstanding and powerful exhibit. On behalf of the Women's Caucus for Art of Greater Washington, DC, I'm humbled and thankful for this award. It really means so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to make a difference in our community. And on a personal note, I recognize my white privilege and am dedicated to becoming an anti-racist. I am the communications chair and exhibition co-chair for the Women's Caucus for Art. The mission of the Women's Caucus for Art is to create community through art, education, and social activism. Although our focus is mainly to further representation of women in the arts, we support the Black Lives Matter movement in solidarity. Last year, with Another Black Life was taken from us from the hands of police, we saw a trend to add a Black Lives Matter statement to websites of all businesses and organizations of all sorts. We knew we had to say something, but a statement alone was not going to do the justice of the Black Lives Matter movement. In the words of our membership chair, Sandra Davis, words alone don't mean a thing. We need action to support our anti-racist stance. We created a national social justice art exhibit for the Women's Caucus of Art called See My Color to help artists share their voice around these national events. But this was just not enough. We created a $2,000 art scholarship for an area female identifying Black, Indigenous, and person of color. We have a mentorship piece for the student that needs assistance with the application process. And the call for art raised $1,000 to help fund the scholarship, which the WCADC helped fund by matching from our own budget $1,000. So we have a $2,000 scholarship to give out. So this scholarship is now an annual scholarship that is on our budget. And so we will be giving this every year. And I just want to mention that if you want more information about the scholarship, you can go to wcadc.org and the deadline to apply is April 1st. And thank you again, Zsudayka, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you. It's these type of projects that just really, really move me, and I think are so important to the continuing of art and the browning of the art community, which is such a necessary thing. All right, so next up we have got, we are bringing, I found Greg Scott. So I really wanted to honor Greg Scott because I have worked with him several times before with shows with the Children's the National Children's Hospital. He runs an excellent gallery there and has continued to provide opportunities for artists to get their art and focus on healing work. And so I would love to thank him and bring him to say a couple of words about his work.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
You are? Yes.
Can everyone hear? Okay, great. First of all, I want to say congratulations to everybody that's a part of this show. Mrs. Terrell, you did a fantastic job. This is my first virtual show, and I think it's the best show I've seen, so everybody else is going to fall underneath this after this. I just wrote some little words up that I wanted to share with you guys because I didn't want to miss anything. So first of all, my name is Greg Scott. I'm a curator, artist, painter, illustrator, and a designer. I'd like to take this moment to thank Mrs. Terrell for her vision and the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities for this award. I was truly surprised and grateful to be a part of this event, honoring the work that our art teachers have done this past year during these challenging times. My goal has always been about supporting the arts and the artists in the DMV area. We live in a very diverse community, and we are fortunate to have so many very talented artists and teachers that live and work in our schools, neighborhoods, and in our larger communities. It is a blessing to be able to work with such talented people from many different backgrounds. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a third generation Washingtonian, went to Eastern High School, graduated from Pratt Institute in New York City. I'm the gallery curator at Children's National Hospital, and my department falls under Child Life and Integrated Care Services. We use the arts to make the hospital experience a little easier for our patients, families, and staff. I've been at Children's Hospital for over 20 years, and I have enjoyed every minute. I'm a strong advocate for the arts in healthcare because I have witnessed the healing powers of the arts and how it makes a major difference in all our lives and everyone's lives, especially when we are dealing with challenging emotions, depressions, or even being isolated from our family and friends. This has been an interesting year because as creative people, we had to create new norms. And we had to also create a new way of thinking in order to touch people's lives, people's hearts and minds. I love when I see patients and families walk around the hospital talking about the artwork throughout the corridors and in our galleries. I love my job. I'm living my best creative life. I'm grateful and thankful and honored to receive this award. Thank you guys for doing such a great job.
Thank you so much. I felt that, your work right now, especially, is so important because so many of our families are having situations in the hospital right now and are particularly having situations in the hospital where they can't have the usual amount of support from loved ones. And I think that being in a beautiful space with beautiful art could probably often be the thing that keeps people fighting and keeps people working towards their healing. And so, we just want to thank you and honor you for your work.
Thank you so much.
All right, so now we are going to bring up our final awardee, and I was really, really honored to be able to all three. I'm really honored to be able to acknowledge this evening, and so Nancy Lyons has done some absolutely amazing work in the community with art, and especially with art during the social unrest. And I think that seeing some of the ways that art was used politically over the last summer has been just absolutely inspiring. And I really have seen people do things that I thought were above and beyond. And so I would love to invite Nancy Lyons to come on and speak a little bit about what she does. So.
Thank you, Zsudayka. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say that was a powerful exhibit, and what a cool way to see it. My name is Nancy Lyons, and I'm the coordinator of Murals DC. It's our project is funded by the Department of Public Works. We work in partnership with the DC Commission on Arts, and we have installed nearly 150 original works of art in every ward of the district since the program started in 2007. As Zsudayka mentioned, typically our program has just been focused on doing external murals in Washington, D.C., we typically do 8 to 10 a year. You know, last year was a different year because of the COVID, actually, a lot of agencies, their funding was cut. And we found ourselves in a situation where we ended up doing more work last year than we ever did before. We were kind of faced with the situation. I was presented with the task of coordinating the Black Lives Matter mural on Black Lives Matter Plaza, or what eventually became Black Lives Matter Plaza. And it was sort of our first foray into really getting into social movement and social justice art, and art that really made bold statements and really connected to where people were emotionally at the time. And so that was such an amazing experience. And to see that street turn into immediately, to see DDOT come out and put the street signs up and rename that street leading to the White House, Black Lives Matter Plaza, was an amazing experience. And then, you know, we also did a project to promote statehood. And so last year was a very powerful year for us. And, you know, my work is not nearly as challenging as teaching or as soul bearing as artists, but I'm really grateful to be recognized for the work of that DPW's Murals DC project does, and to be able to connect with as many local muralists and have the opportunity to create such wonderful landmarks in the district. The best part for me doing this program, hands down, is just the opportunity to meet the artists and to get to know them and to discover new artists. And I just want to thank Lauren and the Commission on the Arts and Humanities for their wonderful partnership, as well as the DC BIDS, ANC leaders, DC public officials, business owners, and even MPD for helping us to make Murals DC a success by locating walls and securing walls. So thank you for this honor. And I time myself because sometimes I can be a talker. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that it was really amazing and inspiring to just see how the art was galvanized, and then to see a lot of my art peers who, you know, we all kind of had a moment of freaking out when things first started happening and our shows started getting canceled. And I don't think any of us had any idea that this was going to be such an amazing year for art and for artists. And so I really appreciate the opportunities that you worked hard to create so that you could keep artists employed and keep their work being seen. It's super important.
Thank you.
All right, so I will be getting all of you guys' awards to you next week, weather willing, because it seems like it's supposed to snow every day for the rest of February. So, but I can't wait until you guys get them, because, you know, I'm gonna just show it again, because it's just, you know, I really wanted you guys to have a token and something that you could have to remember your positive impact in what was probably a really difficult year in many ways that were different than challenges that you probably faced before. So thank you guys for all that you do. All right, so I saw in the chat that we had a couple of questions for some of the artists, particularly, and I wanted to see, I'm not sure if Judy is in the chat. I see her. Okay, so I wanted to give Judy a chance to, no, she disappeared. There you are. Okay, I wanted to give Judy a chance to talk about her sculpture, because there's a meaning to the way that it's set up. And so I want you guys to have an opportunity to really connect to that. So Judy, do you want to speak here? I'll invite you for a chance to unmute.
Thank you. Are we going to show the work as I speak, or I'm just going to talk about it?
I can do a screen share and show it.
Okay, that would be great.
Give me just a second. And hold on, because I have to back out.
So I can talk about it a little while you searching for it.
Can you guys see it? Or can you see the gallery?
There it is.
There it is.
This piece was made, one of the names I came up with was See, Hear, Speak. And it goes along with see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And the background reminds me, or it's made in the shape of a memorial. And the names that are on the back of the piece are victims of crime. They died with the victims, they died by the hands of the police, or they died by the hands of being a victim of crime. And you really have to see it close, but on the faces, you have the names of the people and you have their stories. You have their stories about from their family members, because they're not just a name, they're attached to someone. They are the brothers, the sisters, the aunties, the mothers, the uncles. They have a history. And sometimes when we hear about them, all we hear is a name. And we attach that name, and that name stands out in their death day and their name. But to their family, it remains a story. And so I decided that I wanted to put those stories on their faces. You have a father, you have a mother, and you have a child. And the father represents, if you can see, he represents the sea because his eyes are blocked. And the mother, she has no ears. So she represents the idea of not being able to hear. And the child represents, the idea of not being able to speak. Children, from long times they say children should listen and not speak. I don't believe in that. But the way this piece is made, and at the bottom you see names. You see what I have on the images. It repeats itself at the bottom, and they're setting on what you can't see. They're setting on the names of other people. So it's a variety. It's a lot of names. It's a lot of people, and I don't want them to be forgotten. So this piece reminds me of, and the idea of three. So you have the idea of Trinity. You have the idea of mother, father, and son. You have the idea, all these things were coming through as I started making this. I didn't know that I was going here. I had an idea, and it shifted and it switched when I started researching these names. It's a memorial to the people, some of the people who lost their lives at the hands of tragic circumstances. And I just, I wanted to record it. And so the little pieces, I had to print and cut all these little names, all these strips of paper, and I brought it back together because it could be anyone at any time, any day. And sometimes we can forget them as the father when we pass this down to our child, as the mother when we pass or when we forget. So the child is significant because no features are there. So we're creating, or the mother and father is creating this child. And so that's why there are no features. It's just all this information that we give to our children. And so what happens to this child? Would he remember the names of these people? Were these people, could they be connected to him? Could it be connected to the mother? And could they be connected to the father? I think I covered everything about that, but this is a very personal piece. Some of the names are representative of people I know. It's a sad piece, but I tried to memorialize them in a way that I could. That's all I have for that one.
That's wonderful work. And, I think that there was a couple in here that were sad, but necessary to be said. And yours was definitely one of them that it was necessary that that it was said. And, you know, I'm sorry that we had to have the experiences that led to it being made, but who better to pay homage to the people who have lost their lives than you. And thank you. If anybody else has any questions, you can put them in the chat. We had a question for, let me see, is Asma in the room? Let's see. So Asma, people wanted you to speak about your work. And so I saw a couple people ask, wanted to hear more about what inspired your pieces.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so the Queen Liberty.
Hold on, I can share them for you too. Give me just a second and I'll pull them up. Wait, did I pass it? I think I passed it. Yes, there it is. All right, Asma, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So it's a masked, liberated African-American woman in today's world holding a baby. She's draped in a Pan-African flag. Behind the statue is an interpretation of a kente cloth, which contains the triangle, which represents the past, present, and the future. Also, the circles represent eternity. There's also a piece of an American flag. So despite the odds, we as Black women continue to carry the torch for our families. So it's just the image of an African-American woman today, still having to carry the torch for our families and still being liberated and still just passing on the past and into the future, which are our children.
I'm gonna go back to your other piece. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So Strong is a personal piece created for my father who was transitioning into heaven. It symbolizes the strength he had through his life in battling kidney disease. He often put his fists to greet people or to say goodbye. The colors red, black, and green was the flag he taught that was meant for us. And it just shows power. And it also shows the past, the present, and the future.
Beautiful work. Absolutely beautiful work.
Thank you.
I was really happy to see it. Ozma's one of the artists that we had join later. So we had a series of artists, and then when we found out we got the grant, we extended the invitation for a few more. And so she's one who, when her work came in, I was like, yes, because there's some pieces that I think are vital to the movement of the show overall. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, is Rhonda Silver in here? Rhonda, I would love for you to come in and share with us your sculptures, and let me pull them up. I believe it'll be waiting. Oh, no, conditions. All right. Here we go, Rhonda.
Okay. So this piece here is called Conditions. And actually, that piece, all those parts, each square is actually 8 by 8 inches. And normally, they would not be on the board like that because they all separate pieces. And they're 33 pieces put together in a space. So this piece here, the word conditions, and you see hearts. So you think, or you may think heart conditions once you put it together. Because people always ask me, so why conditions? So each heart, even though you can't see, they're very detailed, very texturized, and they are expressions of the heart, because I'm a heart person and I deal with a lot of matters of the heart pretty much all my life. And when I was a kid, that was one of the first things, I learned to do is drawing hearts when my mother was in college. So hearts are very significant then and very much significant now. So basically, if you were able to see the detail pieces, and hopefully I don't want to put my principal on the spot, but Mr. Spears, and to support what Donald Hentz was saying about actually being able to see these pieces in the space is really important, because seeing them, I want you to experience them, because to see these pieces together, they're really big, like 30 by 88. They get a little bit larger than that because I separate them, like they're 3 inches. They have to be 3 inches apart. And this is a very spiritual piece as well, because actually when I first installed this show at another gallery, a person came in and said, wow, I feel like this, and that. So it is a piece that relates to the viewer in a way of their personal emotions. It's a very interactive piece, and that's my intention. Without it, I'm going to say it's my intention without being the intention, because I see how people interact with me. I stand on the side and kind of see what they are thinking. So each heart has its own expression, and what the viewer brings to it is what it is. So no matter what the viewer's thinking, feeling, it really relates to them. You'll see, I found that a lot of people very much relate to themselves on a spiritual level. And so that's the intention. And actually one of the hearts in the piece represents me. And so even though it's hard to see, I'm going to leave that up to a guest later on. I'm saying I'm putting my principal on the spot, Mr. Spears, because maybe we can have another conversation with me and Mr. Walters about our artwork, another art talk. And people are invited to come when we have more time. So I didn't want to waste, take up any more time.
All right. Let's show your other piece as well, okay, because I think it's important for you to talk about how it was meant to be viewed, and the limitations of the virtual gallery. But I think we still were able to get a really beautiful representation of it.
Thank you. Okay, so this piece is called Waiting. This is a life-size piece, and actually the way, I'm going to say, if you can imagine being in a room, like I usually show this in a gallery space by itself, and the way you approach this piece is from the back. And the back is actually the front, if you can imagine that. And so when the viewer first sees it, I've gotten different opinions. Some people, I just spoke to one of my colleagues today, they were afraid. So this piece is like all my other pieces, they're pretty interactive, and it's very personal, very spiritual. So the way you approach it, you see it from the back. The piece is, like I said, it's life-size. What you see, you see like a rope. Those ropes are actually locks, and the locks are actually wrapping around the object and around the chair. So when you first come into a gallery and you see this piece from the back, like I said, the back is the front. And it causes the viewer to want to see more. So what happens? You walk around Okay. And I really want to leave that part, I don't know, if I can leave that part a mystery for now, for what you see when you go in front, because I was hoping to be able, to really show, for people to actually interact with this piece in real life. So, Nzinga, if you want me to tell them what's actually in the front, I will. But if I can keep it a mystery for now, I would like to, because it is a piece that you have to really interact with.
I think we should keep it a mystery, and
I think so too.
that maybe, especially during the closing, we can bring it. We can show,
okay.
Not, I can't show them in the gallery layout, but we can show the other images that Ellie was able to get, so that
okay. So the closing. Okay, that's a deal.
I think that would be great. You can let people kind of speculate.
Right.
I can post pictures of it. If you guys follow me on Instagram at DC Teacher Art Show. And I'll put that in the comments, and so you can see more pictures and get some little clues. I think that'd be a fun thing to unveil for the closing.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so just think of it like this. It's the way we all, in our spirits, the things that we don't talk about in public or to our friends. This is kind of an invoking piece that once you look at it in the round, meaning walking around the piece and you actually see what's in front of it, it's very revealing, because some people are haunted by it, but also I'll give a little hint. It's how we look. Like if we say the glass is half empty or half full, it's very telling about what's going on inside of us, because keep in mind that when we look at artwork, we bring ourselves, believe it or not, our opinions. That's what's in your spirit and in your soul. So if you want to talk to me offline about it, we can talk further about it. But I can't reveal the whole. I'm going to keep it a mystery. Okay, thank you. And I'll be glad to answer any more questions later. Thank you.
All right. So shameless plug. This is a reminder and all of y'all's opportunity to go onto the site right now, dcteacherartshow.com, and RSVP for the virtual closing. The virtual closing is going to be amazing. The wonderful spoken word artist, Drew Anderson, is going to be hosting the closing, and he is going to be not only performing, but he hosts the longest running spoken word venue in DC. So we're going to get a little bit of taste of what it's like for him as the host. And he's going to bring up some performers. And so we've got a couple of wonderful spoken word artists who are going to share some of their words that were in the show. They're going to share some things that they wrote, and they're all educators as well. So we're staying in line with the theme. And then we'll have a feature performance from the incredible Bomani Arma, who I saw got a lot of love in the comments, super known for his work in the district and known for his work with youth. So make sure that you go RSVP for that, because it's going to be a really fun night. And I think it would be a good time where we can show some of the other pictures for the sculpture and really show you what it's like on the other side. Let me see. Let me look at these comments here. And let's see, does anybody else have any questions? Are there any teachers that would like to speak or would like to talk? Okay, hold on, let me unmute you.
Hi, thank you, and good evening. And just first of all, congratulations to everybody for the amazing pieces that were on display tonight. But before I get to my question, I want to say that the inspiration that you see from Ms. Silver and Mr. Walters is evident from the second that you walk into Friendship Low-Pierce, because their work is displayed over the walls, the hallways, the common places, and even their students' work anywhere that you go in the building. So kudos, and our Blow Pierce family loves you and is so very proud of you. But it's clear that from your work, you draw a lot of inspiration in our building from our scholars. So I would just like to ask, where do you specifically draw inspiration, either from these pieces or from the work that you do in the building from our students?
And this question is for Rhonda and Randy.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so let's get Rhonda up because I have her up top, and then we'll Randy Walters, we'll get you up next. All right, so Rhonda, go right ahead.
So the question was, where do I draw my inspiration from? Well, like I said, matters of the heart. Actually, I have to say with my scholars, I see them as spirits, and I draw from their energy that can also inspire me. And so since I deal with matters of the heart mostly all the time, I'm real sensitive, and I always say, if you see somebody who wears their heart on their sleeve, and if you take advantage of it, it just lets you know what type of person you're dealing with. But I'm inspired by the love that I have experienced, I'm going to say all my life, starting with my family. And I pretty much surround myself with people that bring that kind of energy to me. And in my artwork, it reflects that. The good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly. But it's mostly, good. And I'm inspired just by, I'm going to say, this wonderful walk that I have had in life. I've been very blessed. And even through the pandemic, God is my source. I will say that. That's my number one source, most of all. And I'm just, life inspires me, love inspires me, nature inspires me. I'm just inspired because art is all around us. So I take it all in and I'm inspired.
That's wonderful. All right, let me get Randy up because we want to, so Randy, Randall Waters, we'll have you talk about your work for just a second, and then we have some comments from the executive director of the DC Commission on the Arts to close.
All right. Well, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you, the Terrell family. You all are amazing. I follow your work. You all do amazing work. Thank you for giving us a platform and an opportunity to speak. We don't often get these opportunities too often. Many times we are just doing and doing. So to get an opportunity to talk about your work, we thank you so much for what you do. I thank you to all the wonderful teachers who put your work out there and chose this opportunity to be able to use our voice and use our talents in such an amazing way. I can tell you this is my 7th year here in Washington, D.C., and I have met some amazing people. And I don't want to keep you all too long because I know you. First, I want to thank all those who came on just to follow us as well. But in my time here, I've met in the arts. Thank you, Mr. Hintz and everyone, Ms. Riley, for pushing this and the arts, because in this venue, this platform that we have in school, you all push for the arts. We have Ms. Duran, who is over us, and she is amazing. She is always pushing us to do more and more, and we just thank God for everything that you all do. Whether it's dancing, singing, performing, whatever it is in the arts, you all are pushing. I thank God for it. Let me just tell you this: I am from the city of Baltimore, and I didn't have arts all around me. One day, I met a man in my street where everything feels so doomy and gloom. I met a guy who was an artist in my neighborhood, and I went to his house on a whim. I forget what it was for, and we went to his house, and he had beautiful art everywhere. And I always said, when I get older, I loved how it made me feel, and just being in that environment lifted me up. And I said, when I get older, I want to become an artist and share that same feeling to everyone else. So I am an advocate of showing my work. I know all the art teachers who know me know I'm always like, I don't want to see those kids' art. I want them to see mine. And I don't do that because I don't love their artwork. I do that because I know how it inspires people and I know what it did for me. And so I push for what inspires me is getting these children. I tell the children I'm a creative force and I want to show in some way, shape, or form, find something that touches them that they can use as an adult, whether it is cutting hair, a hair salon, whether it's fashion, whatever it is that they do that inspires them to create. That is what gives me inspiration. You can see Mr. Spears, our principal. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity. But, I paint all over the walls. Like they said, that has become my canvas. The whole school is my canvas. And so I want to share that and make these kids. And when these kids get to see it for that first time and get to walk down those hallways, it makes them feel good. And that's what inspires me. So thank you everyone for once again allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much. And real quickly, before I bring up our final speaker, Randy's piece was one of my favorites. And when he sent it, he just sent his source photo, and it was so shocking just by itself. And it was literally nothing but, that's your son, right? It was literally just his son's face on the sidewalk. And it just, like, I could have put just that picture up in the show. It was such a jarring piece and an emotional piece. And the painting is just absolutely beautiful. So
thank you so much. Just real quick, that picture is called, and I don't do pictures that are sad and hurtful. So that was hard for me. It almost brought me to tears, even just taking a picture of my son on the ground in that way. It's called My Tears, But Our Fears. And anyone who was as an African-American who has children when those kids leave out to go to school or go to work or wherever they leave that you can't see them, we all have that same feeling in our spirit of, Lord, I don't want nothing bad to happen. So that is all of our fears, but that particular son is my tears. So that became my inspiration behind that. So thank you again.
Thank you. Amazing piece. All right. So real quick, I want to bring up the executive director for the DC Commission of the Arts. I am going to butcher her name and I apologize ahead of time. It's Haran Sariq Braun. And please say it correctly so that we can pronounce it correctly in the future.
Zsudayka, thank you so much. You've said you've done it well, Heran. If you're an Amharic speaker, as I am from Ethiopia, Saraka, the ka is tighter, but Heran, Saraka, Brahan. And honestly, I just, what is there to say? My heart is so full. And what august company. I want to sit down and be humble is all I want to do right now. But what an honor, what a privilege to be a part of this evening and to really celebrate you as teachers, as artists. Zsudayka, it's just amazing that your curatorial sort of art and sort of sensibility that you bring here. We are communing together deeply, I feel, through this opening and really trying to process the world as it exists in all its unpredictability at the moment. But I think also what we have in common, the folks that work at the commission, the staff and this community and other artists, is this deep sense, you guys, especially because you're teachers, is a deep sense of public service and a deep sense of a love for the arts. And it is amazing to see it come together in these ways when we have such programs to celebrate together the richness of our creativity. I heard reference to AfriCobra. It brought back some really good memories of the folks at Howard University, people that I was connected with over the years, Iskandar Bogosian and Jeff Donaldson. I was involved in an exhibition at the Smithsonian at the African Art Museum. Soon after that, both Iskandar Bogosian and Jeff Donaldson passed away. And so I have that memory, what incredible people they were as folks who were also involved with AfriCobra in Europe. I also heard you, Mr. Hens, is it Donald Hens? Thank you for your generosity of spirit in acknowledging the commission's work. But and also your reaction to the shortage of materials. I so appreciate, you know, every effort that's made to support the arts in real ways, in tangible ways like this, for students to be able to, and teachers especially, to be able to be supported and have the tools that they need to teach the arts. I think what we're going to face when students come back to school is really an impact of COVID, where folks can't, you know, students can't share materials. They'll be able, you know, if they can afford it, if they are able to, they may have their own supplies. But this idea of sharing supplies in a classroom is going to be very difficult. So we're thinking ourselves here on staff, we have good arts education folks and the folks that you've worked with in our public art department. We're thinking of ways of alleviating those real issues so that arts can be continued to, we can continue to teach art in these new and limited circumstances of COVID as well. I'd like to really thank Patricia Brantley and you, Mr. Donald Hans, from the Friendship Public Charter School, for being a part of the program tonight. Congratulations to our award winners, Greg Scott, Nancy Lyons. It's really good to finally put a face to the name, and Deb Walmer. All you do, all of us, all of what we do together for the arts is what makes this grand wheel turn. So it's really fantastic to meet you all this way. We're really proud, especially that Nancy Lyons is a recipient, because we've collaborated together for years now on different initiatives. We have a long-standing partnership with with DPW for the Murals DC Graffiti abatement program, but we've also worked together on the design to recycling truck wrap. And then our most recent project, which just popped up, was the Women's Suffrage Anniversary, the 100th year anniversary project last summer in Anacostia. Zsudayka, you mentioned the virtual gallery space and how quickly it all came about. I don't know if you know this, but this actually came about because of a curator that we had, which supported through a grant program, who found a way to work with a designer, a virtual designer, to create this opportunity. And we were able to take the contract over from her after her show was done. And so I mentioned this to say that artists are always going to find a way forward. If we haven't realized this already, teachers are magicians. They are the people who nurture the next generation of young people who will have these rich artistic sensibilities, and also this next future through COVID and after COVID cannot be imagined without artists at the forefront: poets, musicians, painters, dancers. We will need that imagination to be able to get by and get over into this next chapter. I hate that I am leaving this to the end, but I'd really like to thank our staff. Sarah Gordon is our resident curator. She's on staff at CAH. She has energized all our curatorial efforts and our community work since she's been on board. Thank you for all the extra miles that you go to make it happen. I'd like to also thank Lauren Dugas-Glover, who's our public art manager. She's a person who is a force to be reckoned with. She keeps all the many, many sort of loose threads in mind as she leads these very complex public art projects forward. And so congratulations again, Zsudayka Nzinga Terrell. I caught you at a late night news announcement like just last weekend, and I was jumping up and down saying, this is our curator. This is the person who's going to be doing this program for us. Thank you all. Thank you all artists who come every day, bear your souls in your work and cultivate our young people. I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we've got 2 minutes before we end, and really quickly, I wanted to give a shout out to our publicist for this event. Beverly Hunt did a fantastic job. She got us on almost every station. We're on some publications. She got us some radio time. She really worked hard to make sure that the teachers' work got seen. I want to give much love to our graphic designer, Afi Ise Art. She's a fine artist, and she built the website. She designed the flyers. She's working on our catalog that we'll have for our closing reception. And then I wanted to lastly shout out Eli Akady, who took the photos of the art and the photos of the teachers. Everybody looked really amazing in the photos on the website. Make sure you go to the website, www.dcteacherartshow.com, RSVP for the closing reception, because we are going to have a fantastic time. We'll have more opportunity for you to hear from the teachers. Follow us on Instagram, because we are going to be doing some art talks with the different teachers, and some opportunities for you to see some of their other work. Everything is DC Teacher Art Show. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please feel free to send me an email through the website. If you want to connect with one of the teachers, I'll definitely forward you and put you in touch with the teachers. Some of their work is for sale. So let's make sure that we continue to support them in any way we can. And thank you everybody who came tonight. Thank you to the principals. It's very inspiring to see so many principals and coworkers here to give this love. So you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. So we will see you guys on Instagram, and we will see you guys on March 16th for the closing reception.